Colonel Jeffrey A. Phillips, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, welcome. Today, Colonel James V. Hewitt, Commander, 318th Cyberspace Operations Group, will relinquish command to Colonel Thomas T. Bodnar. Our Commander of Airmen for today's formation is the Deputy Commander, 318th Cyberspace Operations Group, Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Owen. The formation represents the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group. This ceremony is a time-honored and cherished military tradition that formally symbolizes the continuity of authority as command is passed from one individual to another. The formal ceremony is conducted before the assembled company of the command and marks the transfer of command authority, responsibility, and accountability from one officer to another. And we are extremely honored to share this ceremony with you. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Colonel Jeffrey A. Phillips, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of our official party and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. Now, Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Andrew McIntosh, the 67th Cyberspace Wing Chaplain, will give our invocation.
Let us pause for a brief word of prayer. Gracious and mighty God, all authority comes from you. Therefore, we give you thanks for this opportunity we have to witness this historic event in the life of the distinguished 318th Cyberspace Operations Group. We are so grateful for the skillful leadership and the all-in attitude of Colonel Jim Hewitt over these past 2 years, and ask for your ongoing wisdom and guidance upon him as he will soon take command of the 688th Cyberspace Wing. But now we welcome Colonel Thomas Bodnar and his wife Lisa, son John, and family members as he boldly steps forward to take command of this outstanding cyber operations group. For we know that to whom much is given, much then is required. Therefore, we ask for wisdom of Solomon, the courage of David, and the patience of Job upon Colonel Bodnar as he seeks to take lead of this eminent group and bring them to even greater heights of success and accomplishment. For these things we all ask, your most holy and precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain McIntosh. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Before we begin, we would like to recognize several distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until the introductions are complete. The Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Jeffrey A. Phillips, and his spouse, Mrs. Megan Phillips. The Commander, 688th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Stephen Anderson. Spouse of the outgoing 318th Cyberspace Operations Group Commander, Mrs. Linda Hewitt, and their sons, Jacob and Nathan. Spouse of the incoming Commander, Mrs. Lisa Bodnar, and their son, John. Former Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Brigadier General Retired Kevin Wooten, and his spouse, Sheila Wooten. Former Honorary Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Retired Chris Cook. The Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel Lauren Cochain, and her spouse, Brian. The commander, 690th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel Kevin Kirsch. The command chief, 688th Cyberspace Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Jeffrey Glaw. The acting command chief, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Andrew Small. To the other senior leaders, members of the 67th Cyberspace Wing staff, 318th Cyberspace Operations Group staff, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group staff, 567th Cyberspace Operations Group staff, and the 867th Cyberspace Operations Group staff, distinguished guests and friends, the Hewitt and Bodnar families, thank you for taking the time to share this special occasion with us today. Welcome, one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Jeffrey A. Phillips.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to a big day for the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group. I have to say it's truly wonderful to see everybody's faces, to see all the people here in person, and to see all those smiles. So great way to finish the day and finish the week. I'd like to start out with some thank yous and some welcomes. So the project officers for today's event are Captain Trevor Hardy and Senior Master Sergeant Julia Sowers, and we all know these events don't plan and execute themselves, and this team got us to this point. I'm sure in about 31.8 minutes, they'll be the happiest people in the room. So Captain Hardy and Senior Master Sergeant Sowers, thank you so much. So Master Sergeant Dickerson, thank you for narrating. Chaplain, your last act of service to the wing, possibly. Thanks for doing the invocation today. And then definitely a huge thanks to our Gunslinger Protocol and Public Affairs teams, Mr. Hoskins and Mr. Tiernan. They really know they're true professionals. They know how to make these events special for everyone involved, to include all those friends and family and airmen that are able to join us virtually today, thanks to Trevor's efforts back there. Last but definitely not least, thanks to the airmen in formation today. You all look fabulous. It's great to see a formation at an event like this. General Wooten and Sheila, thank you for joining us. It's always great to welcome former gunslingers back into the fold. Great to have you here. Colonel Anderson and Chief Glau, the other Cyber Wing, thanks for joining us today. I definitely appreciate your camaraderie and partnership, and it's always great to see you guys. For the Gunslinger leadership team that could make it today, Acting Command Chief Small, thanks for being here. I don't know if Miss Hawk was able to make it, and then of course our fearless leader in the front office, Miss Sheila, thanks for joining us today. Sharon, I'm sorry, Miss Sharon. Thank you for joining us today. I saw Sheila and I said Sheila instead of Sharon. That happens. And then the Hewitt family, Linda, Jake, and Nate. So glad you guys could be here. Your support is what enables Jim to continue to serve, and you guys are a big reason that he's been so successful. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. And for those of you that were at this morning's ceremony, you heard someone reference Colonel Hewitt as Jimmy Hewitt and instead of Jim. So I feel like I have to tell this story real quick, because I debated whether or not I should find and replace all the Jims in my script with Jimmys. And so we had Colonel Hewitt's farewell last week, and we got the standard front office farewell gift for him. And my fearless partner in crime back there, Sergeant Neil, went and had this piece of leather laser engraved. He said, "Hey, what do you want for the name to be?" And I said, "Colonel Jim Hewitt." And if I say that really fast, and I do talk a little fast, it sounds like Jimmy Hewitt. So he brought it back, and he was all proud. He's like, "Hey, look, it says Colonel Jimmy Hewitt on the scarf." I was like, "No, I said Jimmy Hewitt, really?" So I might reference you as Jimmy a couple times today, but thanks for understanding. And to the Bodnar family, Lisa, Tom's wife, and John, their son, are here with us today. Thanks for joining us in person. And their two daughters, Emily and Caroline, are hopefully joining us online from Pittsburgh and Colorado Springs, respectively. So welcome to all of you. So these ceremonies are really huge milestones for everyone involved. For the airmen of the 318th COG, we get to talk about all the accomplishments you've achieved as a unit over the last couple of years. For Team Hewitt, those accomplishments were achieved under your leadership. In addition to conducting the mission, you've also made friends, forged relationships, and really left your mark on the group. And we get to thank you for that service today. And then for Team Bodnar, today marks the start of your command journey. So it's really a celebration of all the hard work you've put in to be selected for this leadership position. So I'm going to start by bragging on the team that is known as the 318th COG. The 318th is probably the only group in the wing that truly has a daily impact across the entire wing and the greater cyberspace enterprise. The 318th is also the group that I probably had to learn the most about when I came into this job last year. I tried to think of a good analogy to explain the impact the 318th has, and the best I could come up with is that this team is like the mission support group for the 67th Cyberspace Wing. I say that with the utmost respect and fondness for the role of the mission support group. An MSG at a fighter wing literally supports every airman at that wing. That is what the 318th does for the 67th every day. But the 318th does more than that, than just support every airman in the wing. They continually innovate, they evolve, they find new ways to accomplish a mission. I want to highlight just a few of the things this group has done over the last couple of years. So they built the first offensive cyber formal training unit with the highest graduation rate in the Department of Defense. It's such a standard that they set that the U.S. Cyber Command senior enlisted leaders spent the better part of a day with that team this week just to learn their recipe for success. They forged never-before-seen mission partnerships with NSA that drove marked readiness improvements for our cyber mission force. They spearheaded the creation of Information Operations Initial Skills Training, the first ever Air Force specialty code awarding course outside of Air Education and Training Command. They modernized software development for the cyber mission force through the creation of a classified DevSecOps software factory. Then they drove the first software factory as a service initiative and are now partnered with Platform One and Level Up for software development going forward. They've incorporated operational testing into the continuous integration and delivery development pipeline. They stood up and evolved the first ever Air Force Cyber Range Squadron. They pioneered the information warfare flag concept and made those information warfare airmen the training audience under a revolutionized exercise concept. In fact, many of our general officers in the information warfare domain today are conducting an information warfare tabletop exercise that's been driven by a lot of that work. They matured the range squadron to a point where they've hosted 55 tests and training events and now are the go-to range provider for the 81st Training Wing, where most of the Air Force's cyber airmen are trained. They launched the Joint Electronic Power Range, Air Force's cyber's only industrial control system range. They synchronized 7 different organizations and over 140 development, range, and test airmen in direct support of the defense of the 2020 elections, which was lauded by the head of the Department of Homeland Security as the most secure ever. So a lot of huge accomplishments. More than 700 airmen of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group come to work every day committed to supporting and defending our Constitution of the United States. And they do that in a way that sets a new standard of excellence. Jimmy, I know that you would be the last one to take any credit for that work, but all of that progress happened under your leadership, guidance, and tutelage. So you're leaving this organization better than you found it, and that's what any leader should try to do when they leave an organization. We all know that command is a team sport, and Jim could not be nearly as effective if it wasn't for his team over here in the front row. So Linda, Jake, Nate, Team Hewitt, it's been great to get to know you as neighbors for the last couple months. And I know Jim feels lucky to have you by his side. Jake and Nate, I can say with confidence that your dad is very proud of you guys. I don't think a week goes by when he doesn't talk about your budding tennis and golf skills, how well you're doing in school, or how proud he is of the resilience you show by being part of this Air Force family. Linda, thank you for your support to Jim and to the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group. I can't wait to watch you guys move over to the 688th and lead the other cyber wing. I'm confident they will be in good hands. So as we say, see you later to the Hewitts, we have the privilege of welcoming the Bodnars back into the Gunslinger family. Talk about the right airmen, in the right job at the right time. Tom and Lisa have had assignments throughout their career that have made them the perfect leadership team for the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group. Tom started his career like many of us as a communications officer, spent time in comm squadrons at Mountain Home and Schriever Air Force Bases, followed by a stint at AETC at Randolph with a short 2-year DISA Germany assignment. I'm sure you wanted that one to be longer, but it couldn't be because we had to send you off to school at Maxwell. Then after school, Tom spent some time on the ACC ASIC staff at Langley before becoming the commander of the 690th Network Support Squadron, which we were just talking about in the back room, which at the time, was also in the 67th Wing. So that's not the Bodnar's first foray into the Gunslinger family. So Tom commanded the 690th NSS during a very pivotal time as we were completing AFNet migrations across the Air Force. And Tom, I'm sure that provided you a lot of valuable leadership lessons that you'll put into practice now. After command, it was off to the 14th Air Force for 4 years, and I think a deployment built in there as well. And then for the last 3 years, the Bodnars have been back at Langley Air Force Base with Tom filling a critical role on the Air Combat Command staff. He has literally been our voice and proponent for defining requirements and acquiring the cyber weapon systems that this wing uses every single day. So that experience was the perfect stepping stone to take command of the 318th. I know Tom will continue a lot of that work as he goes into this job. So Tom, Lisa, Emily, Caroline, and John, welcome to Gunslinger Country. We look forward to getting to know you better and working with you to support and defend our Constitution. With that, I believe we're ready to recognize some of the accomplishments of Colonel Jimmy Hewitt and then pass the flag. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the Legion of Merit to Colonel Hewitt. Colonel Phillips, sir, request permission to publish the orders.
Publish the order.
Citation to accompany the award of the Legion of Merit to James V. Hewitt, Colonel James V. Hewitt distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, 318th Cyberspace Operations Group, Headquarters, Air Combat Command, Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland, Texas, from 19 June 2019 to 4 June 2021. During this period, the exemplary ability, diligence, and devotion to duty of Colonel Hewitt were instrumental in the resolution of many complex problems of major importance to the Air Force and nation. His astute leadership was crucial in guiding Air Combat Command's premier group focused on capability and range development, cyber and information operations training, and development and operational testing. He led over 700 personnel in 4 squadrons and 4 detachments, operating with an annual budget of $100 million and with source selection authority for $225 million in contracts. Under his guidance, the 318th Group converged 67th Cyberspace Wing combat power and synchronized 7 organizations and 140 development, test, and operations airmen in order to arm the force in support of the United States Cyber Command's #1 priority, to defend the 2020 United States elections. His efforts led to the first National Security Agency curriculum sharing agreement and drove the Air Force to lead the Cyber Mission Force course build-out with the highest pass rate in the Department of Defense at 80%. He positioned the wing to lead the way on the Chief of Staff's Full Spectrum Readiness Initiative and in augmenting reach-back capabilities for combatant commanders around the globe. Finally, Colonel Hewitt's commitment to the airmen and mission of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group postured his team to achieve an overall effective rating during the ACC Capstone Unit Effectiveness Inspection, demonstrating the group's ability to balance Air Force program management with a high operational tempo. The superior initiative, outstanding leadership, and personal endeavor displayed by Colonel Hewitt reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Mrs. Hewitt, please come forward for a photograph with Colonel Phillips and Colonel Hewitt.
Let him get the Christmas card picked without.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, 318th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel James V. Hewitt.
Feels like I was just here a couple hours ago. Yeah. So first off, let me, I just want to say thanks, General Wooten, sir. Thanks for coming. Sheila, good to see you. Colonel Anderson, and you know, in about 8-9 minutes, I don't know what the over-under is, but from the best cyber wing in the Air Force. Thanks for coming, Chief. So I can't believe how fast time flies. It seems like just yesterday I was standing here in the same spot. I was nervous about taking command of a group that I didn't know anything about. When Linda and I were waiting a couple of years ago to see if we were going to be lucky enough to be on the command selection list, we were looking at the list of available groups, you know, going down those groups and saying, oh yeah, I know about that group. I know what that group does. And then we see the 318th and went, oh, man, I don't know anything about the 318th. And then, you know, a couple months later, of course, that's the one that my name is next to. So that's how it always works. But fast forward 2 years, I think I'm finally starting to get it now, and which means that it's time for me to get out of here. It's been a crazy ride. A global pandemic isn't something that I planned for. I don't think any of us did. And I think I missed that portion of the group commander course on, you know, how to get through that thing. But it's really nice to be coming out the other side. It's really nice to see live humans at an event. It's nice to see the formation. And so I just want to spend a couple minutes today. I want to brag about some of the stuff that we've done. I didn't do any of it, but some of the stuff that the group did. I want to say thanks to a few people. First on the list, Captain Hardy, Senior Sowers, and the team that put together today's ceremony. You know, a lot of work goes into setting these things up. You got to raise your hand, you got to volunteer. So I know you've done a lot, Trevor. Thanks for leading us up. DK, our MC, on the microphone, probably the toughest job in a ceremony. Got to read the script without sounding like a robot. You got to keep from messing up. You got to keep us on schedule, stand up, sit down, read orders. But for those of you that don't know about DK, though, I want to brag about him for just a second. So he's probably, in a group full of ridiculously intelligent folks in the 318th, he's probably one of the smartest people I've had the pleasure of working with. His impact on cyber operations is massive. Most people don't know about it. But solo earplugs, I see you back there. He's probably single-handedly one of the most responsible people for the Air Force leading the Department of Defense with the highest graduation rate of cyber operators. So your impact on the readiness of our cyber operations workforce, it's going to continue for years to come, long after you've left the detachment. And I think you might be the MVP of the schoolhouse. So thanks for everything you do. It's been awesome to watch you lead airmen for the last couple of years and grow the schoolhouse. So I'm excited to see where you and Solo can take us in the future. I'd also like to thank Cornell. This guy's another superhero. He's seen so many changes of command and other ceremonies, and he's watched us all grow up, and he's watched me screw a bunch of them up. And so far, I'm batting 1,000 today. So don't talk about a no-hitter. I just talked about it. I'll probably do something. But seriously, you, Trevor, you guys haven't missed a beat with COVID. You made all these days as special for our commanders and our units and our families as they would have been in normal times. And I know how much work you put in during the transition season. So from all of us coming and going this summer, thanks for everything you do, and roll Tide. So before I go any further, I got to take a minute to thank my better half and the boys. So I used to just go off the cuff with these things, and I learned a tough lesson at one of my promotion ceremonies, and that is you kind of tend to forget to say things you wanted to and to thank the people that you meant to. So I don't do that anymore. I write this stuff down. So the real boss is Linda, and you know, she's the rock of our family. She's my best friend. She's my doubles partner, and she runs a really tight ship. So she's the hero at home for not only taking care of us, but more importantly, for putting up with us. She's got the hardest job of all, and she makes it look really easy. So any of you that know us know our schedules are pretty nuts between tennis and golf, and she kind of orchestrates it all. Nobody misses anything. We don't miss a beat, and I just really have to go where you tell me to go. I don't have to think about it too much. So thanks for being my partner on this journey. I love you, and thanks for everything you do. So Nate, Jake, you guys are awesome. So Jake, your work ethic and your passion for your sport and tennis is awesome. We spent a lot of time on the road together. You put up with me spending a lot of time working, distracted in hotel rooms and at tournament sites. And so thanks for being so self-motivated and for working your butt off when no one's looking. And Nate, man, crack me up, dude. So an incredible imagination, an incredible writer, and you got a golf swing that makes me jealous. So thanks for being so funny, and thanks for keeping us on our toes. So I'm going to use the rest of my time today to thank a few more people. We've done a lot of really cool stuff in the group over the last couple of years, but as the years go by, nobody talks about the job stuff they did, or they talk about the people that they worked with and the friendships that formed and the shared experiences. And really, that's what's important. And so some of those shared experiences are what we missed over the last year with COVID, which has made it hard, but fortunately, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here another couple of years, so I hope to continue that. So first up, I got to thank the boss, the OG gunslinger, Colonel Phillips. He came in with a focus on culture and people, and it showed. So you've taken care of the formation, you've advanced the mission, you've been a sounding board for us, and are one of the most genuine people I've worked with. Thanks for your trust, guidance, friendship, and I look forward to being your neighbor for the next year. I think Colonel Cunningham said she was going to be out there in virtual land, so ma'am, if you're out there, thanks for giving me a shot to come back to the 67th and to be a gunslinger again. Your leadership was inspiring, and your mentorship helped me develop as a leader and teammate and be a better airman. So Lauren, Lamont, Lovey, Omar, what an awesome group of battle buddies. I challenge anyone to find a group of smarter, more talented, harder working cyber officers than these four. Every day I learn from them, and you guys crack me up like nobody else. So thanks for making the last year so enjoyable, and thanks for all the laughs. To the front office team, Gloria, Frania, Seth, Michelle, you all make it enjoyable to come to work. The stories, the laughs, which are usually at my expense, and of course the tacos and the cake. You do the heavy lifting on the group staff. You do all the work behind the scenes that make us successful. You make sure I get where I need to go. So thanks for everything. Data, I remember last year trying to convince you to come to the 318th. So for those of you that don't know about Data, he was in high demand. He had some job offers. I was encouraged to cold call him while I was on leave and to try to convince him to come to the 318th. So I'd never talked to him. I'd never emailed him. I'd never done anything. I pick up the phone. I call him. I made the best sales pitch I've ever made. Fortunately, it worked. I sure am glad that you chose to come here. So a couple things about Data. First, again, in a group of really smart people, he probably is the smartest person I know. What makes him unique, though, is he's also one of the kindest people I know and most creative. And the final thing that makes him awesome is that he's not shy about telling you when you're wrong. And for me, that's a lot. Ask Linda, I'm wrong all the time. But when he does it, you don't even realize it's happening because I think he's a Jedi and he uses some Force stuff on us and you don't know it. What makes him a great teammate, though, is he tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And there isn't a more perfect wingman to work with than someone like that. So Data, thanks for your friendship, storytelling, lessons, whiteboard drawings, funny emails, and everything. Sheep, R1, Frank, the GS45, the Council of Gentlemen. I got a lot of names for them. These fellows are the real brains behind the operation. When I got here a couple years ago, they're the ones that took somebody that didn't know anything about the 318th and spent the time to educate me about everything about the 318th. They have all the history, they know all the people, and they're an incredible asset to have on the team. So guys, thanks for everything. Your passion for the group and the mission is contagious. I appreciate all the history lessons and all the time you've taken over the last 2 years to help me understand things and mentor me along the way. To the group of squadron commanders in the group, Jake, John, Peter, Batch, Alex, Solo, Brian Viola, if you're out there, and now Face. I couldn't have asked for a better group of teammates. You all are incredibly dynamic, talented, charismatic, and the way you work together to solve problems is amazing. You made my job really easy. Not only are you all brilliant in your respective missions, but you're all great leaders who care about your squadrons and the group. When I got here, I asked a friend of mine who was completing group command at the time, I said, hey, you got any tips for group command? And he said, if you have a good group of commanders, the job's pretty easy. And he couldn't have been more right. The thing I find inspiring about this team of commanders is how they work together. Their squadrons are all interdependent on each other for mission success, which is one of the things that makes the 318th unique, is how all the squadrons depend on each other. And at no point in my 2 years have any of the commanders ever tried to throw one another under the bus for something that was going wrong in their squadrons. They all work together to pick each other up and make sure that everybody's successful. And it's really awesome to watch. You guys made it easy. So thanks for all your hard work and for always looking for solutions before problems got too big. And to Chief Glaw, my battle buddy. So this is the guy I probably spend the most time with. And I had no idea who he was when he interviewed for the group superintendent job, but I figured that anyone who could admit to being a fan of the Cleveland Indians and the Cleveland Browns had to be a good dude. Notice I didn't say the Buckeyes. Yeah, we've traveled all over the place. We've sat in a lot of meetings. He may have snoozed through a couple of those meetings. And overall, we end up spending a lot of time together, and he never complains unless he's hungry. This guy always knows the right answer, works behind the scenes to coach and mentor folks to success, and doesn't sugarcoat anything. So my number one requirement I was looking for in a chief was someone who would tell it like it is and not hold back, and he certainly does that. If you want honest feedback, he's the guy. So thanks for all your mentoring and advice, and thanks for agreeing to come across the hall for another couple of years.
Wait, what?
To the men and women of the 318th, thanks for all you do every day behind the scenes to make sure the cyber mission force is successful. I joke about how I didn't know much of what the group did when I got the assignment to come here. I think most people that haven't had an assignment to the group are probably the same. They don't know much about what we do, but what we do is critically important. We're the offensive and defensive line of this team. We do the blocking and tackling that allows the other groups to celebrate in the end zone. Nobody in the wing is successful unless you all train, develop, test, build, and exercise. You do all this behind the scenes with little fanfare, but you're the experts at what you do, and you work incredibly hard to ensure the success of the mission. Thank you for what you do for the wing, for the Air Force, and for our nation. You're in good hands with Tom Bodnar. There aren't many people that are more perfectly postured to come into the group. He's got a background that makes him tailor-made to move this group forward and on to great things. So Tom, best of luck to you, and I'll just be across the hall if you want to come over and yell at me for anything stupid that I did along the way. All right, that's enough rambling for me. Just thanks again, everybody. Thanks for what you do, and thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Colonel Hewitt. At this time, the members of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group will render their final salute to their outgoing commander, Colonel James V. Hewitt. Thank you, Colonel Hewitt. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group would like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Linda Hewitt for her support to the group. Mrs. Hewitt, thank you for all you've done. We truly appreciate your dedication and commitment to our worldwide military community and wish you the best of luck on your next assignment at the 688th Cyberspace Wing. The ceremony you are about to witness is one of the briefest yet most significant of our military customs. All authority and responsibility are vested in the hands of the commander in an unbroken chain to the commander-in-chief, President Biden. No unit may ever, even for a brief moment, be without a commander. So today, when Colonel Hewitt relinquishes command and Colonel Bodnar assumes command, all authority and responsibility for the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group transfers to him immediately. The passing of the group's guidon culminates a series of significant achievements under Colonel Hewitt's leadership, vision, and guidance, and reflects great confidence in the continuance of those achievements under the command of Colonel Bodnar. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the change of command of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group.
All is yours.
Attention to orders. Special order number G2103, dated 25 May 2021. Colonel James V. Hewitt is relieved of command of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group, and Colonel Thomas T. Bodnar assumes command effective the 4th of June, 2021, by order of Colonel Jeffrey A. Phillips, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing.
Sir, I assume command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce to you for the first time the commander, 318th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel Thomas T. Bodnar.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today to celebrate this event for the 318th Group. General Mrs. Wooten, Colonel Phillips, Colonel Anderson, all the team members, fellow commanders, friends, and audience members, especially those who are able to join us virtually. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today to celebrate this. Throughout time and over again, leaders across every field talk about their time in command and how important and significant that is to have that opportunity. Former commandos will reminisce that this is one of the best times of their career. And I'm very humbled and happy and proud to be here today to lead the 318th Cyber Operations Group. I could not ask for a better Air Force unit. The most significant thing that I can express today is my thanks for many of the people that helped me get here today. To my mother and father who are out in TV land, thank you for raising me to be a kind person. to be the kind of person who will always get work done, and to your example of integrity and strong moral values made me where I am today. To my wife of 26 years, Lisa, you're my rock of my family. You're my best friend and the love of my life. We've been a long time together, and I greatly appreciate all that you have done for me and for our family. To my kids, Emily, Caroline, and Jonathan, thanks for putting up with the Air Force. So we've looked at it about 18 different homes over 26 years. That's a lot of moving, and they didn't always get a vote on where they're going, but the kids did a great job, and I'm very, very proud to be their father. Colonel Phillips, thank you, sir, for entrusting me with the command of one of your groups. I promise to do the best I can and do the best for all of our airmen. To my fellow commanders, I look forward to working with you as we look to accomplish this mission and take care of our airmen. Obviously, this ceremony here could not happen by itself. So special thanks to Captain Hardy and Senior Master Sowers. I've seen you both earlier. I know you're out there roaming around getting the work done. So I appreciate for this ceremony. As with many things, one of the first people that I met as I came back to the wing, Mr. Hoskins, thank you as always. It's a fantastic ceremony and many, many, many times. To Colonel Jim Hewitt, Jimmy, as I learned you just got been called, I have to thank you so much for your leadership, for your guidance, and your support throughout the group. You've set the group on a very, very, very strong course. I wish you the best in your new command. Finally, to the men and the women of the 318th group, I'm very honored to stand here today as your commander. Every single day, you listen out in the news about the challenges of cyber. You hear about the challenges of information warfare. And I am glad to be on the front lines of that as part of this team. I look forward to all the great accomplishments that we'll be able to work together with. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Colonel Bodnar. At this time, the members of the 318th Cyberspace Operations Group will render their first salute to their new commander, Colonel Thomas T. Bodnar. Mrs. Bodnar, please come forward for a photograph with Colonel Phillips and Colonel Bodnar. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. On behalf of Colonel Phillips, Colonel Hewitt, and Colonel Bodnar, thank you for attending today's ceremony. Refreshments will be served immediately following the ceremony. In keeping with Air Force tradition, please stand as we conclude today's ceremony with the playing of the Air Force song and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
With one hello,